Dear God, I got one question. I need to know, do revolutionaries go to heaven? And if so, may their legacies last forever and their seeds grow. Tell them that we love them so and never let them die slow. It's like we cursed to be born black. We was kings and queens, now look where we at. I know it won't be long before we take it back. I just hope I live long enough to see it happen, and that's a fact. Cause one thing when you pro-black, you might love your people, but they may not love you back. For more than 400 years, we've been under attack. We survived slavery and then they gave us crack. Do revolutionaries go to heaven? 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 I wanna know. Do revolutionaries go to heaven? I hope so. Do revolutionaries go to heaven? I wanna know. Do revolutionaries go to heaven? I hope.
Peace and blessings, family. Thank everybody for tuning in. We got a very, very special guest in the house. You know what I'm saying? A pioneer in hip hop in the city of Cleveland. He's worked with a lot of artists, a lot of household names. He's had a significant amount of influence on the game. And it's just more than an honor to even be able to sit down and talk with him. What's good, King? How you feeling?
I'm good, man. How y'all doing out there? Thanks for having me.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I was gonna ask you, before we get into the conversation, have you written a book about your life, or have you considered writing a book?
I mean, I've got offers for screenplays and things of that nature, and a couple people said they was going to wanted to do a movie and, like I said, screenplays and shit. But I thought about it because like the stories and just like the just like my whole life, it wouldn't be probably what people expect because like now I feel like it would almost be a good story for kids as far as everybody got hoop dreams and everybody got rap dreams and shit, but it's like it's almost like a good story of I guess what to do with a plan B or whatever. But I thought about it in that nature, and I've had a few people come up to me and kind of pitch ideas, but nothing has been in concrete yet or whatever.
Oh, okay, I understand. I mean, from listening to the interviews, the way that you was explaining, different things, man, you could write it yourself. You could write a rap, you could write a book. If you gonna speak the street slang and everything, it'll be dope, man. So many people would be interested in that story. You know what
Like
I'm saying?
if you ready to write it, let's do it. Like,
Oh yeah,
I mean, I guess
yeah.
I
I'm an
could.
author.
I know. That's what I'm saying. You want to write it, we can sit down and discuss it for sure. Cause
Oh
I got
yeah, man.
my cousin right now got the Crew Foundation, and they doing movies and everything. So like it's a lot going on. So I'm pretty sure, hopefully, before my time is done here on Earth, they might do something. It might be something of that nature in play.
Yeah, definitely, man. We need a documentary. I don't know if anybody already did it, but if somebody could do a documentary on the city of hip hop in the early 90s, early 80s, late 80s, that'd be explosive, man. Because
I mean,
Cleveland got such a, like a mystique. Like a lot of people really want to know about Cleveland, but it's not a lot of outlets for stuff like that. You get what I'm saying?
I mean, for sure, like the whole fact that they buy my old music in Germany and in Amsterdam right now, that shit is like mind blowing. Like I was saying on the last interview, like if had I ever known that years later my music would have such an impact, I would have been making better music
Yeah,
or
definitely, man.
more like more positive, like something that was saying something versus just talking about loud music and girls and shit. But like reality, when you get a little older, you realize like, damn, I could have been reaching people with some knowledge or something that made more sense. But at the same time, I'm still happy that I had an influence the way I did.
Right. But you planted some major seeds, bro. You know what I'm saying? And timing is everything. So it ain't too late to still kind of, you know what I'm saying, revisit a lot of that stuff and show your growth inspire people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Okay, okay. I wanted to get into the questions. Talk a little bit about where you from. We know you from Cleveland for sure, but what area did you come up in?
I grew up on 94th and St.Clair, and
Okay.
they call it the wasteland now, but it actually was a beautiful neighborhood to grow up, a real family oriented neighborhood when I grew up there. There was a lot of transplants from West Virginia and uh, Carolinas and just down south. A lot of families came up in the 50s, probably all together, like, and it was still white folks in the neighborhood and everything. Well, I mean, of course, I wasn't around in the 50s, but I hear the stories from my grandfather and them, and when they bought those homes, it was like a mixed neighborhood and everything. It was just like a great place to grow up, honestly. In the 80s.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, definitely. You're right about that. During the Great Migration and the Second Great Migration, Cleveland was definitely one of the hot spots for Black people, exiting the South because we had them factories, we had more jobs and opportunities, or so we thought, so they came up
Right,
here for a better way of life. And
exactly.
Glenville was definitely one of them places, one of them neighborhoods that Black people was able to thrive in, having Black businesses and Black doctors, the first Black hospital, Black architects, the whole nine. So
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah, yeah. So I want to ask you, like, when did you first get hip to hip hop? Like, when was do you remember the first time you heard a hip hop record, or when you started to be influenced by it?
I mean, I remember. Damn, what was the first? I could just remember like shit like the Skinny Boys and the Beastie Boys and Two Live Crew and of course Run DMC and LL and just I could just remember just having a thing that you know adults didn't have anything to do with. It was just like that was our thing. I could remember going to get the records from the record den and from Matt downtown. And I think that shit was called Downtown Records, and I could just remember coming back, with the vinyl and just playing that shit, and just it was just ours, So like in the beginning, I mean, it was just like the impact that it had from, like I say, something as comical as like the Fat Boys all the way to something like X-rated, like Two Live Crew that you almost feel like it was almost you wasn't supposed to be listening to that. You know what I'm saying? It was just like
Hmm.
wow, like like the whole culture as far as breakdancing and you know DJing and just everything, breaking and crush groove, just the whole beginning, it was so new and so fresh to us, it just took over.
Right, right. Okay, okay. Now,